Alrighty. It is me solo again, sadly. Alec from Easier Habits. I'm a business coach. I'm normally live streaming with my wife, Meg, who's a English language communication coach, and helping her scale her business. We're working a lot on pitching, marketing, and hopefully next week, before Thanksgiving, sales funnels. So that's exciting, and I love bringing these new behind the scenes takes from an actual business rather than the success story you hear in retrospect, because I think there's a misperception we have about business. So a lot of people look at business as a formula. You hear a success story and you're like, well, if those are the right things to do, or if I can figure out the right things to say to the right people, I will be successful. But success in business is a lot about practice that gives you skill and judgment. And so we wanted to show you behind the scenes all the practicing and the figuring out that we're doing, so you can kind of get a more accurate view of starting a business. And if you are in the thick of it and you're feeling all of the stress and difficulty and confusion of starting the business, hopefully you get some ideas from us as well as just encouragement. So if you could like, subscribe, notify, share, all the things. We're trying to build a community of entrepreneurs who can support each other, and hopefully this daily morning strategy session can be something that inspires you, gives you some great ideas, and helps you keep practicing so you can cultivate the skill and judgment you need to grow your business. So without further ado, I will go into the communication tip, normally taught by Meg, but I do have communication training, and I have done corporate training in communication. And one of the things that comes up a lot in either coaching or the communication training that I've done is difficult relationships where you're frustrated with someone, right? Someone lied, someone is not working as hard as they could have at work, or your spouse, you feel like your workload is not equally shared with your spouse, or they do something that's annoying you repeatedly, all of those types of situations. So a basic skill to diffuse and address difficult situations is there's probably a name for this method, but I just call it the objective method, right? Where you start with what a camera would see, right? Rather than saying, for example, this happened early on in my marriage, where we'd say, I feel like you're not doing this, or I feel like you're not doing enough, etc. Like, it's very judgmental. Even worse would be the you're always, you never, that kind of judgmental language that you start with. But you want to start with what a camera would see. So instead of I feel like you're not doing enough, when I get home from work, or when I'm done with my come out of my home office, whichever it is for you, and I see everything's going crazy and you are surfing the web, I feel like I've been working really hard, and I would like some peace and quiet, or something like that. It's kind of bleeding in the next story. But like, when I come out of work and I see this, right, would be the come home. Or when I check in on a project that you said, or, when I checked, it's this great specific incidents. When I checked on this project that you said would be done this week, and I check at the end of the week and it's not done, and you didn't give me any heads up, I feel like, and that's the second stage, the I feel like. So you keep your judgment set from the observable situation, because it's that situation that's addressed, and that situation that's going to lead to specific changes. So then you can say the impact on you. And this is not you are a bad person. It's one of the reasons why I'm suggesting I feel like, or it has this impact on me, or I see this happening, or it has this outcome, right? If you tell someone they're lazy, you're just reinforcing their laziness, right? But if you say, when this thing is promised to be done and it's not done, I have a hard time keeping track of projects, right? Or I get really embarrassed in front of the clients, and the clients get mad they're not getting what they need. And then you can make a third thing after you say the impact, you can make a specific ask for behavior. If you just tell them like, work harder, I want projects more, done on time, that's not very helpful, right? It's too big, it's too macro. And again, it's kind of more in the judgmental line of things. So what you want to do after you've said what objectively is happening, right? What a camera would catch, and how you feel about it, or the impact on you or the business, etc. Then you make a specific ask, like when you might have to do some investigation. When did you know that it wouldn't be done on Friday? All right, when that happens, tell me, and I will adjust the client's expectations so they're not surprised when they thought they would have something in their hands and they don't, right? So that would be like a specific ask, for example. For the other one, like I come out of work, and this could work the other way. Like I have been slaving with the kids all day, and there's chaos and there's craziness. You're locked in your home office all day, and I need a break, right? Like either side of this. I'm not saying there's a right side of this confrontation, and that's why we're avoiding judgment, right? But you could take either side. But I come out of my office and I see, the kids screaming, house is a mess, and, you're scrolling through Facebook. I would like a moment of quiet after work so I can switch tracks, right? So that, and set a time, right? Like I'm planning to be off work generally at 5 or 6 or whatever. If you could arrange just like a half hour of calmness from 5 to 5:30, I will be able to, and this is another thing that you can do for the communication side of things, offer something in return, especially with a spouse. That kind of reciprocity is important. Like what I need is half an hour of quiet after work to let my brain relax. And then I've got the kids for the evening, or I've got the kids for the next hour, whatever it is, or I'll help with cleaning up in the evening, etc., etc., etc. So that's your pattern. So observe, just objective as you can, what a camera would catch. Observe the situation, state the impact, and then make a specific ask. And that is a much more powerful way to deal with difficult circumstances than, saying, making judgments. You never, you always, I wish you would, etc. All right, so that's the communication tip. I am going to try screen sharing in my new software. So let's see how that goes. All right. It appears to work on my screen, so I'm going to trust that it is working on your screen. All right, what we have here is an ad. Scrolling down. So this was just an interesting business idea I wanted to review quickly. Probably later this week, after I've done some research, I'll have some, more insights from my own business that I could share with you about funnels, but like right now I'm kind of in research mode. So I just wanted to share and shout out this cool post. This is from S. Walden 123 on r/entrepreneur. And they're advertising it here and asking people to sign up, so I don't feel bad like putting them on the spot or giving them a shout out. So basically what they are saying here is they sold a company, which is awesome, 500,000 in revenue. And if you aren't an entrepreneur, you're thinking like, oh, that's a ton of money. Like, oh, they must be rich. Chances are he might have sold it for a whole bunch, but like 5,000 in revenue, that's not like net revenue. That's like, it did that much business, and he might have, who knows how much cost that incurred. If they were able to do it for, 7 years, I assume they're making enough to live on. But it's a physical product. It says it takes a huge amount of physical energy and also like no recurring revenue to like, major spikes around holidays, etc., because it was like a bespoke chocolate business. So that's a really challenging business. And man, if you love holidays and chocolate, like maybe that's for you, but it sounds like that wasn't the perfect match for this person, or they grew out of it, which also happens with entrepreneurs. And so the uncertain and inconsistent nature of my revenue drove me mental. Yep. To be honest, some of that is like part and parcel of being an entrepreneur, but they make a wise choice in terms of like, hey, maybe I will do software as a service because that is recurring revenue. If people like it, they just keep buying it, such as streaming services, etc. Or Adobe Photoshop for creatives, etc. Like that's, that is a much more reliable income to build up. So they're doing a challenge. They have 5 months to build a web application to 5,000 recurring revenue monthly. So again, that's total recurring revenue, or like that would be totally 60,000 a year, but you have to think, minus costs, etc. So they can do this in part because they've sold the business. So like now they have a chunk of change, but they got to make sure they have the next income, not just like feed off of that money. So they can afford to, like, if 60,000 minus costs is not enough to live on, they still have that savings from the previous business, which is, I assume, kind of their runway and how they're calculating that. So I am making and designing the app themselves. I can't exceed 40 hours per week on this. I love the time cap. That's one thing I want to say, is like that setting that goal will help you, like a short time, will help you keep focused. Setting 40 hours per week on this. I have a 2-year-old who I don't want to miss growing up, a person after my own heart who does seek some work-life balance. That's something I work with some clients on. There is something to be said for grinding, but that is people who want to create a particular type of business, like a unicorn billion-dollar business, right? Like people like that, yeah, you're going to have to work a heck of a lot, right? But if what you want is, a more, you can trade some of that success for freedom if you're working smart, if you're efficient, etc. And also if you've run a business before and you've developed the skills, right? That it's easier. I am imagining, especially around holiday time, that their hours were up a whole lot more than 40, which it probably drove them nuts too, because that's when they most wanted to be with family, right? So I think, software as a service probably much better for work-life balance. They're probably much more able to reach that, having already built and sold a business. So I've started with an existing idea that I have been building out for the MVP, and he talks about that later. Have to launch before Christmas. And this is another thing I love about how they're building their business. So I want to be transparent every step of the way. Follow along on my blog or on Twitter to see how things are going, why I am learning, and the mistakes you shouldn't make. That's great. I love that they're sharing person after my own heart. And so this is, the title of this is I'm sorry for being so scattered. It's what happens when Meg isn't here. My web app challenge from $0 to $5,000 a month in 5 months. So like look them up, give them a follow, etc. I think that you can also sign up for their idea later, and I'll shout out that. But I love the fact that they have this transparency. They're inviting people to follow them. That does two things. That makes them accountable, kind of like Meg and I are now accountable for this daily live stream session. And it suddenly got like a lot better. We got a lot more specific. We're covering more ground, right? That's part of the reason why people have coaches. One way to make yourself accountable is to blog and tweet and etc. Like make your progress public. And so that is a great way just for personal productivity. On the business side of things, also, that's like building your brand so that people who are interested in what you're doing might become interested in your product. So that's also really wise. I think that's really smart. I think that's one of the best ways to do business. Oh yeah, and a third reason why it's smart is that as you're blogging and tweeting, you're reflecting on what you're doing. So you're building in not just like practice and accountability for that practice, but the reflection. So you're gonna learn, you're gonna cement the lessons you learn as an entrepreneur a lot more when you have to verbalize that or capture that somehow for someone else. So, yep. So, go check out this post, give them a follow. The idea, over time, your email accumulates new email subscriptions, whether added by you or illegally by a marketer, without consistently staying on top of unsubscribing your inbox quickly. Your inbox quickly fills with subscriptions you don't want. My app will attempt to solve this problem by automatically unsubscribing you from subscriptions that you never open to let your inbox manage itself. I would use that. That would force me to actually be honest. I think that would do two things for me. Not only would it like get rid of junk in my inbox, but like all of those things that I intend to read, that I think I want to read that I don't end up reading. If I really want to read them, I better read them or I will be unsubscribed. So that's actually kind of a cool side benefit, I think, of this idea. Not that they have to advertise it, but I think it sounds like a great experience. It talks about their technology. And there's the waitlist, autounsubscribe.me. So like check that out if you're interested. I think this is a great idea. And it says who's going to join me in their own challenge. That's also great. Like, have people join you. So I think this is a great idea. I like how they've structured the work. They've set specific goals, specific targets. They've made themselves accountable. So like from setting up the structure of their business, it's great. From the idea, it's clearly like a problem. Like I have that immediately resonates with me. You know, I'll check it out. I don't know how much money I would spend monthly on that, and I think that will be a piece of it. People asked what's the business model later down in the comments, and they said, I don't know, I'll have to check out the costs, right? The biggest costs are probably going to be customer acquisition and customer service, right? Compute power to do this, probably actually not that tricky. But that will be the real question is, you know, can you cover, do people care about this enough to pay, I don't know, $1 a month, $3 a month, $5 a month? So, and that will really change who you market it to, which is actually the one big gotcha with this. This is a great post. I know it's not supposed to be a business plan, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs lead with the idea like this. And I'm glad they're thinking about a business plan and costs. That's good. Like someone had to ask about that to bring that out. But the other piece that's very often missing when people like entrepreneurs post about their businesses is how are you going to market this? Then that was the big question I had. Like, who is this marketed to? Yes, it could be used by everybody. But at the end of the day, you have to find somebody to market this to. And, you know, there are some simple answers to that questions that might pan out. And it really might be worth, and here's like the one thing where it's like, if you wanted to go leaner and find out whether this idea is viable faster, I would actually do this before you build out the product, right? You have that wait list, etc. So run some ads on, you know, Google for people who are searching how to get rid of spam or how to keep your inbox clean or like inbox productivity. That's probably, that's probably it. Like people who are really into like inbox zero, that would be a great crowd to market to. Those are people who have like a specific, like they have a specific productivity mantra, right? And there's different ways to target that. You could target people searching for inbox zero, like want to keep your inbox clean. You could target people who are visiting certain sites or viewing certain materials. You go to YouTube videos about inbox zero. Those would be great ways to target this. And if you really want to test whether this idea is viable, then go ahead and put an ad on Google or do a quick YouTube ad. You know, using not like nowadays there are services where you can slap together an animation and like robot voiceover or whatever. Like, so you could slap together like a YouTube ad or just like film it from your own house, pretty quick, edit it together. Throw that on a video about like inbox zero productivity or getting rid of spam, whatever. And then see who signs up for your wait list. And if you get people signing up for your wait list, then you get the idea that at least there's some people interested in this. So the other way of spreading it would be word of mouth, and you could do something like Dropbox did, where they like gave you extra space if you shared. So like you could get the first 6 months free if you, or like the 6 months free or something like that if you refer a friend, or 6 months is probably a lot or whatever if you want people to refer multiple friends, but like 3 months, who knows what, right? But you know, if you have people who are like, this is cool, I don't want to pay for it, but I have friends who would like it, so like I'll get a year free. Actually, that might be even a good way to get people who aren't initially paying, say like get a year free if you sign up, if you invite 3 friends or something like that. and maybe not even if those friends accept or something, who knows. But anyway, you could explore all sorts of ways, but like if you incentivize people to share it, that's a way a lot of apps go viral. So that's because this is one of those like everybody could use it, more general use case thing. That sort of sharing would be a great way to go to market, but you should have a plan. The sharing you can't test ahead of time, but the ad driven waitlist you could absolutely test to check out the viability. And so they're saying they're trying to do an MVP by Christmas. If they want to be heads down and focus on that, and they have the runway from their last company, that's fine. You can choose which order you want to do things. But that's just the one big catch. Thinking about who you're going to market to and actually test whether there's demand for it, which is different than people in Reddit adding comments saying like, this is cool, that's a cool idea, or telling your friends that's a cool idea. And so that is, I think that's all I have to say about this. I don't want to ramble on too much, which I do when Meg is not here. I miss her so much. All right. So, it's also easier when it's just easier for me as a coach because I'm training myself to shut up more and ask more questions and to ask questions to help other people process more. And so when I have someone, I'm quiet, around me, I'm quieter. When it's just me and a camera, it's just verbal diarrhea. All right. So, business tip of the day. I actually had one, but I think reading this, and I have this is one of those things hey, I have my Post-it note. I'm holding myself accountable. I noticed that yesterday. If I have my Post-it note, I won't forget what the tip of the day is while talking to somebody else. Or talking about something else. But I actually want to go in a different direction with the marketing tip of the day. I think I just want to underscore the lesson here, which is a lean way of starting a product. Actually, there's several tips. I'm going to keep it short. I can do this. All right. Are you with me? I can do this. So one specific focused tip, not a knowledge dump. All right. So I got this, I'm trying to remember what book it's from, but from a friend who was interviewing me about their, for a product. And what they did was really smart. They didn't say, I'm doing this product. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Would you buy it? Because people have a bias, right? People want to be agreeable. They want to be supportive. So people who aren't ever going to use your product, when you say here's my product, is it cool? They're going to say, yeah, that's cool. I might buy it. Right. And businesses have actually found that focus groups where they kind of do that same thing. Here's our product. What do you think? It's great. I would buy it. If they take that same focus group that said they would buy it, around the corner and being here's the actual product and you can buy it, a lot of those same people don't actually buy it. So there's some biases in a focus group towards being agreeable. One way that you can cut through that when you're doing market research for an idea is don't lead with your product. Ask people the questions about their behavior first. So in the case of this app, you would be, how full is your inbox? How many emails do you have in your inbox? How much time do you spend cleaning up your inbox? How many lists, how many subscriptions do you have? How do you feel about those subscriptions? Right? All of those things are kind of neutral things where you could ask people about their email behavior and get honest answers. I don't care. At a certain point, I just hit all I let it get to 500 and then I just click select all and then delete. And you're oh, okay, you don't care. You spend 1 minute a week. You're not going to pay, or 1 minute a month doing this, right? Or whatever. People have their own systems. And so what you want to do is ask those open-ended questions about their behavior rather than saying, I have this, it's cool, would you consider using it? So that is a way that if you're testing this idea, that would be great. I'm guessing that they have probably some way of testing their MVP, or maybe they'll start up with a small list or something like that. So there will be testing. I'm not accusing this poster S. Walden of 1, 2, 3 of not testing. I'm just adding that tip that if I were in their place and I were talking about this with people, this is like clearly an advertising one, but if I'm doing like a market research post or interview, I wouldn't even talk about the product. I would just ask open-ended questions about their behavior, the state of their inbox, and their subscriptions. So that was fairly short for me. I will continue to work on this throughout the live streams. You will have me, it's Wednesday, we'll have me tomorrow and Friday. Tomorrow, I may still grab something from the internet, or I may have something to report from my automated sales funnel research, which is like the big thing I'm working on, the skill I'm trying to acquire right now. But definitely, if not tomorrow, a report on that in my own business. I will have that for you Friday. Monday, I will still be solo because Meg won't arrive till the evening, but you'll have a few days of me and Meg, and we'll probably take some time off for Thanksgiving, as you should too. So, all right. Thank you for showing up. Again, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, all of those things so that we can build a community of entrepreneurs who are working together and supporting each other. And, business is a marathon, not a formula. So keep up the practice. And until next time, make big